everything that I need to know about what lies before me, everything that I need to know about what lies before me is available to me, is available to me through the mind of God within me. All right, let's stand up and we'll let it go. And even if you don't want to sing, you can just sway back and forth. There's this little movement I do for those of you who like movement prayer. We do mind of God within me, but you can vogue or do whatever you want to do. 1, 2, 3, 4. Everything that I need to know about what lies before me, everything that I need to know about what lies before me is available to me, is available to me. Here it is. Through the mind of God within me. Great. Everything that I need to do about what lies before me, everything that I need to do, oh yes, about what lies before me is available to me, is available to me, to the mind of God within me. Let's take it up. Everything that I need to say about what lies before me, everything that I need to say about what lies before me is available to me, is available to me, to the mind of God within me. Take it up again. Everything that I need to release, yeah, about what lies before me, everything that I need to release, oh, about what lies before me is available to me, is available to me, through the mind of God within me. Here's a good one, take it up. Everything that I need to receive, oh yes, about what lies before me, everything that I need to receive, oh, about what lies before me is available to me, is available to me. 3 times. To the mind of God within me. The mind. To the mind of God within me. To the mind of God. All together like a prayer. Within me. Thank you. Please be seated.
And that is the wonderful Erin McGaughan. Erin, would you come back to the mic and introduce your singing team back there?
If you want to be minions, you can. It's a little weird, but these are amazing musicians and friends of mine, Becky Thatcher and Matt Corey.
Yay.
And also Tim Miller and Joel Feldman, whom you know.
Yay. So it's fun. We're back in the big room again for Wednesday nights. Welcome, everyone. I'm Reverend Debora Gay, and I also want to welcome those of you that are watching in their own living rooms. We don't know if they're in their pajamas or not, but they're live streaming with us. So welcome to our community as well. So this is a wonderful evening where we're going to kick off the 40 Days to Prosperity practice. And I'm going to give you some background about what all that is, and then we're actually going to do it together. So we are the seed group that's kicking off the 40-day practice. So we always start everything in prayer. So I'm going to ask our practitioner, Kate Elliott, to come up and do our opening prayer.
I turn my attention to my breath. And breathing in, I know that that breath is God's breath. And that very breath is the gift of life, the gift of God itself, here present in this room and in the room of the audience at home. For God is everywhere. There is no place that God is not. And I welcome this time to spend in community, to just breathe in that God energy, that prosperity, that love. And I know that this time together is sacred, and I know this time together is filled with love for yourself, for myself, for each other. I call this time good, and I call it God, and so it is.
Thank you, Kate. Because it's Wednesday night, and Wednesday night is small community church for us, we have the chance to say hello to each other. And I'm so glad you're here. So if you feel comfortable, just turn to someone and say, hello, my name is, I'm glad you're here. And you'll hear music when it's time to come back.
We're going to do another song together, and I'll ask you to rise again. God, I'm like a gym coach. But there is a reason for that. Often when we're in a spiritual setting, you receive more when your whole body is open, when the breath is flowing through. This particular song comes to me from the Dances of Universal Peace People, and the text is based on poetry from Kabir, who is an early poet claimed equally by the Hindu and Muslim traditions. But I'll show it to you. Now the song does this. I don't do it. It's not my choice. But I encourage you to do it. Little hips. It goes like this. Fill your cup, drink it up. Ya Allah, Allah. Fill your cup, drink it up. Ya Allah. Try that. Fill your cup. Fill your cup, drink it up. Ya Allah. Ya Allah, Allah. Fill your cup, drink it up. Ya Allah. Second part, real easy. Ram, 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 ram. Ram, 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 ram. Ram, 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 ram. A fish in the water's not thirsty. Ram, ram. Ram, 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 ram. Ram, 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 ram. Ram, 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 ram. A fish in the water's not thirsty. Fill your cup. Fill your cup. Drink it up. Ya Allah. Ya Allah, Allah. Fill your cup. Drink it up. Ya Allah. Let it move and you can look around. Fill your cup. Drink it up. Ya Allah, Allah. Fill your cup. Drink it up. Ya Allah. Ram, ram. Ram, 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 ram. Ram, ram. It's really growly down here. Ram, 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 ram. A fish in the water's not thirsty. Dance break.
Fish dance.
your cup, fill your cup, drink it up. Ya Allah, fill your cup, drink it up. Ya Allah, rum rum, rum 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 rum, rum 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 rum, rum rum. This is it. A fish in the water's not thirsty. That's all. Have a seat. Woo.
Now that definitely had some aerobic element to it, didn't it? Very, very fun. Thank you. Lovely. Well, we are off on an adventure, a 40-day adventure. And so let us settle in and just start to open up to the mystery and the magic of this process. So I'm going to talk a little bit because, our heads love to get information that help us process and explain. And then we'll actually go into the inner world, the more mystical world, where sometimes there are not words, but we have an actual experience. So I'll do both of these things with you tonight. So let's start with the head part. So, why 40 days? What's so great about 40? Well, 40 has been used in ancient peoples' cultures throughout the world, but perhaps we're more familiar with Hebrew ancient culture, that they use this word 40 to have kind of a mystical meaning to it, where they were trying to express a divine idea through words. So the concept of 40 for the Hebrews felt like it was a very solid square foundation. So it was a good thing to build on. It was very firm, very strong to create a building, to create a new life, to create something in a 40-day experience, a 40 numbered experience. So they're trying to get a divine idea explained through language. So remember your Bible stories where Jesus had 40 days wandering the desert. Again, that 40 days is symbolic of creating a strong foundation for something new. Buddha spent 40 days under the Bodhi tree. So we have our Buddha here just to represent that. So it took 40 days for him to reach enlightenment. Again, it's a symbol of moving into a deeper passage of life. The Israel people wandering the desert for 40 years, the great flood in the Bible for 40 days and 40 nights. So you see there's a repeating nature to that number, which is symbolizing something. So we're going to borrow from that tradition, that we're going to have a firm foundation for a spiritual journey that we're going on. It's kind of a spiritual purification or a fasting journey. So what we're going to be fasting in 40 days is we're going to be fasting on false beliefs. We're going to be releasing limitation and excuses and storytelling about why we can't have or can't do something. So that's our fast for 40 days. And we're going to do it together because that's the other wonderful thing is when we come together in groups, we have group consciousness. And remember that old saying where two or more are gathered. It's very true. There is some kind of synergy or some kind of power that ramps up when we do these kinds of things in groups. So I'm so glad that you have physically come and that you are joining us in consciousness there in the live stream so that we can be this seed for ourselves and for our larger community. So we're going to use this book. Now there's not too many of the physical form of this book around. It's been sold out at the bookstore. But we have the PDF file, which is available, and you can get it and then have this thing to work with. But Kathy Ann, in about 2010, wrote this 40 Days book to Prosperity, and it's based on the work of Emma Curtis Hopkins. So Emma Curtis Hopkins was a metaphysical teacher that lived in the late 1800s and died in about 1920, mid-1920s. And she is called the teacher of teachers. And the reason why is she taught many of the ministers and teachers of the New Thought metaphysical movement. So for those of you that know about Unity Church, she taught the Fillmores, the founder of Unity Church. She taught Ernest Holmes, the founder of Science of Mind. In fact, he was her last student. So Ernest Holmes is kind of the 20th century voice that carried Emma Curtis Hopkins' work into our time. Now, Emma's work was somewhat forgotten for a long time. Her works, her books went out of publication. People were not familiar with her. And it is through people like Reverend Kathy Ann who have discovered her and become quite devotees of Emma Curtis Hopkins, and other people in the New Thought movement who've done similar things, that she's coming back to our attention and her works are now available again. There's a long period of time where you couldn't find Emma Curtis Hopkins' work, except really old copies in a bookstore of some kind. So now they're being republished and they're available to us again. Now, Emma Curtis Hopkins writes, as you might imagine, in a language that is not as familiar to us in 2014. She has a very metaphorical, metaphysical, Bible-based language. So it needs to be translated for us into our language. So people like Kathy Ann, Reverend Kathy Ann, are translators to help us to get to the kernel of the truth about what's being expressed in this many-layered metaphysical work. So now the question is, well, why prosperity? We could be doing 40 days to anything. Why did we pick prosperity? Well, there's a quote in here from Emma that says this: "Your prosperity will not be the highest prosperity. It will not be the most useful prosperity unless you know how to teach others how to be prosperous." So we're in this not just for ourselves, but also as we learn how to live a life that is prosperous in the largest sense of that meaning, we become role models to others who are observing our life and saying, I didn't think that was possible. If that's possible for Jerry Hudson, that must be possible for me, right? So we all become role models to the people in our lives about a better life that's available somehow, because someone else has accomplished that. Now, prosperity does not just mean money or material things. It truly is the largest definition of prosperity. So yes, it includes abundance of all kinds, but it can also include a rich life filled with meaningful work, friends which you share deeply with, a family that you are growing in interaction and loving and learning together, a spouse in your life that is true, deep partnership, a creative expression in your life so that you can really feel that you have a way to speak your truth into the world. These are all aspects of prosperity, which is truly a deeply fulfilling life. That's what that word truly means, is a deeply enriched life. So that's why 40 Days to Prosperity was picked as our practice. Now, Emma talks about this process is really about learning to trust life, or learning to trust God. That trusting God is the source of every good thing in our life. It is amazing how many unconscious beliefs that will bring up for us. Trusting God is definitely master's degree training in life. Because there's seemingly so many reasons not to trust God, right? There's so many things that appear to be very insecure about life. So this is why a 40-day journey through the desert of moving from whatever belief system you're holding now to one that is more freeing, more enriching for you, can bring up all kinds of stuff. And that's why we want to do this with you in community, so we can support each other through it. It's an opportunity to have lots of excuses come up. And it's an opportunity to let go of those excuses and those stories. Now, the stories can be anything like, well, my family we don't make much money in my family. Or we always seem to struggle and just make the bills in my family. Who knows? We have stories that we've been taught as a child about both what's true what is possible for each of us. And that's kind of set a limit for us. You know, in science of mind language, it's called a mental equivalent, where this is how much good I can stand. This is what's normal for me, is I can have it this good. But man, if I go over that, I start to get real uncomfortable. Like, when is the next shoe gonna drop? So these are wonderful things, because in this practice, that helps you get directed to, what is it that I'm believing about myself? What is it that I'm thinking is the truth, a small t truth about life? And we can start to look at that and say, do I really believe that's true? And the great question to ask is, let's say one of my core beliefs was life is really hard and you have to suffer to be rewarded for anything. So the way we translate that in Emma Curtis Hopkins language is to say, is God suffering? Is God really struggling? Is God really having to work hard in order to succeed in life? So you translate everything. Is that the God I'm believing in? I'm believing in a God of suffering. Do I want to believe in a God of suffering? No, I'm done with that. So I believe in a God that says yes. I believe in a life that is rich and fulfilling by divine delight to give each of us that experience. So it's a great question. What God do I believe in? That helps you look at your beliefs. So there is a good for you and you ought to have it. That's the famous Emma Curtis Hopkins quote. So what is the good that you are desiring? So she does this wonderful thing with, your good is your God, and nothing stands between you and God. These are all very famous Emma Curtis Hopkins quotes. So this 40-day period is a chance to reprogram our beliefs, even those things we don't realize are limiting the experiences of our life. And really open up to the thought that we can be blessed by life, we can be blessed by God, and the blessing is ours by divine right. We do not need to do anything to earn that blessing. It is just given to us. And if you truly take that in, your world will change. Your world and your experience of your world will totally change, because you're lifting up into a whole new realm of consciousness about what you're seeing is possible, what you're seeing as potential in your life. So the 40-day process is an opportunity for you to name something specifically that you want as the good experience of your life, and to get clear about it so that you can put into motion the law of attraction. So what is the law of attraction? That is, you're focusing on something, you're putting all your attention on something, and wonderfully, that focus then starts to attract to you experiences that reflect that. Now, it works in it works in bad ways too. If you're always expecting a bad outcome of all of your activities, what is your attention going for? It's going to look at where's the sign of something bad's going to happen. So you're always screening and being alert to what's the bad thing that's going to happen. So that's what happens when we go unconscious. So when we're awake and aware and consciously saying, I'm going to screen my experiences of life for what's matching my intention that I'm setting for these next 40 days, then that's what you start seeing. Have any of you ever played the red car game? When you just play, you have you're bored or your kids are bored, and say, let's just look and see how many red cars you see. And suddenly, the universe is filled with red cars. You know? It's like they just materialize. It's because you're looking for them. And things that would just kind of fade into the background, now that red car is, oh, there's one, there's one, there's one. It's the law of attraction. It's the law of what you're paying attention to. So we're using that law in this 40-day period. Now, the swell thing about 40 days is that it breaks up these big ideas and what can be a huge change into small daily pieces. So in the time period of 15 to 20 minutes, you can take in one aspect of a big change. And through this kind of a practice where you listen to, in this practice, you'll listen to Kathy Ann talk about that idea, and then we'll have an affirmation about that idea and a prayer about that idea, and then you'll walk with that affirmation every day, each day. So each day you're taking a little small step forward. And that's what is so helpful. At the end of 40 days, you can look back and say, I did make a shift. I did make a change. I didn't feel it each day, perhaps, but after 40 days, that's enough time for you to look back and say, yeah, I feel more free, or I feel more creative, or I can see something has changed about my bank account. So this is the experiment that we're on, if you do say yes to this. There is always free will, so you don't have to do this. But I hope you do, because I want to see at the end of the 40 days what's happening in your life. So, you want to take step one? Okay. Step one is to pull out this handout. We're going to do a little internal process for you to set your intention. Now, most of us really want, as opposed to a thing or a person or a place, what we really want is an experience from something. And so that usually means that we translate that into some kind of a God quality. So in this experience that you're going to go through in your 40-day practice, the question is, what do you want to experience during this time? Do you want to experience more abundance? Do you want to experience peace? Do you want to experience being loved? More joy, more creativity? This is the question. What is the experience you want? And so let's do a little internal process. So I'll ask you to take a breath in. No, just do this lightly. No big deal. But we'll just take another breath in and release. And just treat yourself with such kindness and compassion. Maybe even holding your hand to your heart. So we're going to put our intention on something, and of what we want to experience in 40 days. And this is our high and holy intention. So we look into our hearts. As we look into our hearts, we know we have a desire of some greater expression of something in our life, an experience of something. And so we listen to our heart. What is the greater good that I know is within me? That is my high self speaking to me, my inner wise voice. And as I listen to my heart, I declare my intention for this holy time of spiritual preparation and revelation. I know that a new door is opening for me, and I attract to me through the law of attention a greater experience of good in my life, a greater good experience of prosperity in its broadest sense. And I know that all is well with me. And so when I speak this sentence, you fill in the blank. I seek a greater experience of. I seek a greater experience of. I speak a greater experience of this good. And as that word comes to you, simply write that down in your first step blank. And this is short, it's 1 or 2 words usually. So I ask you to come back to me. Take a look out your eyes. Maybe move around just a tad. So now we have the God quality experience that you're going for. And so now it's time to actually start with day 1. So you each got the day 1 handout. So that's this big piece of paper. And those of you live streaming have a PDF that you can read. And just listen as I speak. I'm going to first do a quote from Emma Curtis Hopkins and then some commentary by Reverend Kathy Ann. So just let it wash over you. The acknowledgement that I am seeking my good, and my good is my God, is telling a simple truth. This is a quote from Emma from her book, Scientific Christian Mental Practice. Now this is Kathy Ann. This simple truth escapes most people, so let us catch the full impact of this statement. God is the good we seek. God is the fulfillment of all need. God is the living water, to use a New Testament metaphor. The living water that we live from. To move close to God is to know our good. To name our good is to name the finite expression of God that we need in this moment. This is wakefulness. This is wisdom. This is self-mastery. So we're concentrating on one aspect of prosperity every day. We're using the law of attraction to attract that into your life that day. And you are asking yourself, what is my good? Now, to say my good is my God or my God is my good can be very vague and very nebulous. So this truly is asking, what specific form do you want your good to come in? So this is where we start to get to brass tacks. You kind of have the intention of your experience, but now you're actually going to name something that you want to have or experience in the 40 days. So maybe you want a more fulfilling job. Maybe you want more money. Maybe you want your way through how to save money for your kids' education. Maybe you want a new car. Maybe you want something non-financial. Maybe you want a creative expression or a intimate partner in your life. So this next step is where you get very specific to the thing that you want to manifest in 40 days. So in this step, we're going to practice a mantra from Emma. So I'm going to ask you to do an internal process again. And when you come out of it, you'll see we'll write something down under step 3. So let's take a deep breath in again. And I'm going to repeat for you 3 times Emma's famous question. What is your good? What is your good? What is the form of your good? So if God is the source of all good, the good I am seeking is. So God is very present. And we can accept more and more of this goodness as we open up to knowing that we're putting the law of attraction into motion and attracting to us a specific good. Let your inner voice speak to you. What is that form of good that I want to manifest over these 40 days? What form of good do I want? What is my good? And again, it might likely be a very short answer. But just write as much of it down as will help you capture the essence of your idea. And in this good, let us each know that we are opening the door to accepting a life that is more satisfying, richer, and more fulfilled. More satisfying, richer, and more fulfilled. Okay. So bring that big piece of paper back out and we'll read the affirmation. So every day there's an affirmation. And would you read this out loud with me 3 times? That's part of the ritual. So breath in. Here we go. Today I am awake and aware of my deepest wants and desires, especially in the areas of abundance and prosperity. I am seeking my good, and my good is my God. 2. Today, I am awake and aware of my deepest wants and desires, especially in the areas of abundance and prosperity. I am seeking my good, and my good is my God. Today, I am awake and aware of my deepest wants and desires, especially in the areas of abundance and prosperity. I am seeking my good, and my good is my God. So, do we have any courageous people who would like to speak on either what your attention is or what your good is? Wonderful. And Lori, you're going to pass that microphone.
My issue has been validation, and I'm not sure if that's a word or not, but that's the word I'm going with.
All right.
And my step 3, the good I am seeking is to make income from my art.
Wonderful. Lovely, clear intention and statement of your good. Great. Anyone else want to speak your truth into the room? Your intention and your good. Wonderful.
Through the 40-day practice, I seek a greater experience of connection and creativity. And the good I am seeking is intergenerational connection.
Wonderful. Sweet. Thank you. Who else has something that they'd like to share? Where's that third brave person? There you are.
I'm Mark, and through the 40-day practice, I seek a greater experience of creative abundance. And the good that I'm seeking is a large income through creative expression.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I love the creativity in this room. All right. Any last person? I hear a voice. Good.
So mine is twofold, but the first fold is the good I am seeking is lots and lots of high-paid, very creative work this autumn. And lots of love and healthy affection with friends, animals, anybody, and celebration.
Yay. Yay. All right. So you see, the sweet thing about hearing this is then we start to get ideas, don't we, about what we could have in our life. And I'm going to do a prayer, and I'll start pulling in all of these ideas so it gets all over each of us. So let me go through just a few mechanics so you know what to do after day one. This is day one. We have done day one. So you can, if you have this book, get your book out. Some of us have it in our libraries. If not, go to the registration desk. You can get a PDF, which is an electronic copy of it, as well as a daily email from Kathy Ann and an audio of this. She reads this. And so that gives you a daily practice that you can do in the morning. It takes about 15 minutes. And then throughout your day, continue to be with the affirmation of that day. And then at the end of the day, you can use your book or your PDF to journal. Okay, what did I start to see in my day? Because I'm focusing on that area of the affirmation of this day. So then your journal starts to become a recording of the shifts that are happening in your life. Or maybe a belief comes up and you say, I just don't believe this. So start writing that down, because you also want to record what's unconscious within you that's coming up to be released. So this is all to let it come up and out of you and let go of the old beliefs or the old stories or the old excuses, so that you can open up to a bigger life, a life with more good in it. Then finally, if you choose to, you can join a private Facebook group, a private page where we will be a Sangha together. And you can write your experience, either what's working or where you're struggling or what's up for you in the 40 days. And I'll be on that Facebook page with you. So I'll be able to respond or give some suggestions, as will others. I know we'll get some practitioners on that page too. So we'll be in virtual community, which is, I love the technology, the different ways we can use technology to keep in touch with each other. So know you have all of those opportunities. And then if this is your day and you keep going daily for 40 days, the last day will be Sunday, November 9. We will have a Wednesday service November 12th And that'll again be a closure. So that will be the last day. We can all come together. We can share together what happened. We can do some ceremonies and some rituals and celebration and formally end the 40-day experience. So put that on your calendar to November 12th. So I'm going to close us now in prayer. And so I'll ask you to do one last breath in as we just put the bow of love on this experience. And so as we're breathing in together and we release, I know with you that we are each pulling in a greater expression of the I am that we each are. And I know that there is a great truth that each of us have come in to express as our life. We each have a greater expression that is so much the desire of our heart. And so this 40-day experience is an opportunity to let that desire out into the world. This goodness, this one goodness that is God. Each human heart desiring to grow into something greater, a greater experience of the goodness of life, a greater experience of living with that inner guidance, with that wise voice, with that God self speaking and directing our life. Waking up to truly what our hearts desire and focusing on manifesting that in our life. That this is a grand and glorious expansion for each of us. And by doing this in community, we give each other support, we give each other loving attention and witnessing, and we also put into play something mysterious. That the power of two or more is being invoked here. So we do something deeper and stronger, supported in the group consciousness that we are creating here. As we each up-level of our experience of a more fulfilling, richer, more satisfying life. We have made a great beginning. We have begun. It is day one. And so it is.
I ask my God, what do I need to do? What do I say to you to bring your blessing down? I ask my God, what do I need to give? How do I need to live to bring your blessing down? God said, faith lets the tide roll in, and then love lets the tide roll out again. Faith lets the tide roll in, and then love lets the tide roll out again. Let it roll. Let it roll, let it roll, let it roll. I ask my God, what do I need to say? How do I need to pray to bring your blessing down? I ask my God, what do I need to believe? How should I learn to receive, to bring your blessing down. But God said, faith lets the tide roll in, and then love lets the tide roll out again. Faith lets the tide roll in, and then love lets the tide roll out again. Let it roll, let it roll, let it roll, let it roll. Faith that God can do anything, faith that I am worthy, love for all creation in its wonder and its glory. Faith lets the tide roll in, and then love lets the tide roll out again. Faith lets the tide roll in, and then love lets the tide roll out again. Let it roll, 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 let it roll.
Thank you, thank you. Well, can I ask the ushers to come forward while I'm looking for my little handout here? There we go. As you go out, you're going to get a little square handout like this, and it lists the remaining Wednesday night services. And I just want to point out we have a special one that Reverend John Hollis is doing next week. Colleen Patrick is tithing to CSL for a specific thing, which is to buy lasagna dinner for 100 people that come Wednesday night at 5:30 to 6 o'clock. Come have dinner, lasagna dinner, and then come to the Wednesday night service. Reverend John is putting one on partnerships, spiritual partnerships. So I think it's going to be great, and come eat Italian dinner with us. And it will be back in the sanctuary. So take a look at the other offerings. And of course, also, a big event this weekend, James Von Prague. So if you want to learn more about that, I think the folks at the registration desk can help you with that too. So I'm going to join you down here. We have a super special helper, don't we? So join me holding your financial support to CSL in your hands, or holding your hands to your heart, and let's join in consciousness again as a community. In this wonderful experience of oneness, of connection to life itself, knowing how beautiful and perfect and unique each one of us is. So we have that wonderful connection to the inner source, to the wise and loving guidance. And yet we each have a wonderfully unique good that we are expressing as ourself in this world. And so it gives me the greatest joy to be with you in community, that we may hear and listen and witness each other and support the journeys that we are each on, for they are unique to you, and yet we share this experience together. And so this is the Center for Spiritual Living. This is what it is all about. And let's walk this path together. So in deepest joy, I say with you, and so it is.
Goes like this. I expect expect to be loved. I expect to be free. I expect to feel the Spirit moving in me. I expect to be happy, expect to be whole, because I am a child of God. Let's try it. I expect to be loved. I expect to be free. I expect to feel the Spirit moving in me. I expect to be happy, expect to be whole, because I am a child of God. Keep doing it. I expect to be loved. I expect to be free. I expect to feel the Spirit moving in me. I expect to be happy, expect to be whole, because I am a child of God. All right, you're doing pretty well. You're catching up. That's a lot to expect out of the universe. I have faith that God can provide all of that to all of us. There are going to be parts of this song that come easier to say, like, I forget what I expected, but I knew I needed to be free. I forget about the, but happy came easy. Again, let's note these. 1, 2. I expect to be loved. I expect to be free. I expect to feel the Spirit moving in me. I expect to be happy, expect to be whole, because I am a child of God. Again, I expect to be loved. I expect to be free. I expect to feel the Spirit